Hey,
You
everybody.
see her often, you pass her daily, but her scars are away from your eyes. She fought fiercely to break away. Her mind needed to be free. Her body needed to heal. Many wear their scars on the inside, hidden behind guilt and shame. She wears abuse on her back, marred by the evil remarks of her lover, stained from his constant attacks. He builds her up, only to bash her self-esteem down, to keep her there in his pit that surrounds her every emotion, feeling, touch, and being. He operates violently to the highest extreme, saying no, it's not an option, only yes, I'll do whatever you say. She cries rivers on the inside as she gives in desperately. He replenishes his strength. You are listening to MFF Project Podcast, Identity of a Woman, hosted by Chantel Branch. The Identity of a Woman podcast is for every woman who has yet to discover, or who has discovered, or who is looking to discover, or who has found her purpose and her identity, what it means, what it looks like, who she is, who we are, how we build, how we lead, how we guide, and how we help. Identity of a Woman.
Hey, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed that intro. That is just a little something that we are working on. And I am back, Chantel Branch, your domestic violence specialist, educating individuals on why their decision to remain silent keeps them locked in abuse. I am happy that you have decided to hop on today and listen to this great podcast. And as always, the Identity of a Woman podcast, we dive deep into who we are as women. We go beyond our strengths. We talk about our failures. We talk about our desires and our destinies and our purpose. We go deep about womanhood, deep about being a wife, deep about being a mother. And today we're going to go deep into entrepreneurship, deep into the process, what it really looks like, how and why are some businesses more successful than others? Are you noticing that even on your own job that they're bringing in different type of speakers and leaders when it comes to, maybe a luncheon or conferences to impact and empower their employees? And that is just why, because they want to keep the morale of the company up, and they want to also make sure that you in your person, your identity inside represents them proficiently, represents them well, represents them in a way that is positive. And I brought on a wonderful guest today, and she is going to help us identify, the different things about ourselves that companies are looking for, the reasons why some companies are failing, why they're making it, and the reasons why some of us jump out and start a business tomorrow and we end it next week. We're gonna go deep into all of those and have those kind of conversations because it's necessary, because it's needed, and we want to help people to make better decisions through the process of entrepreneurship. So I have a great guest today, and her name is Siobhan Annette, and she is a coach. She has a great business that she is going to tell us about. She has a podcast. She has a talk show. So, and I know she'll tell us, more of if any people are interested in being a guest on her show. She will definitely give us more information later on her show. So, Siobhan, I'd like to say welcome to the Identity of a Woman podcast.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored. I am honored. I know that this is going to be an amazing conversation. Hello, hello, everyone. My name is Siobhan Annette. I am the fire leadership coach and the execution strategist, where my desire is to help people break fear, build faith, and lead confidently in our world to make impact in the greatest way possible. I do that by helping people birth out their vision, whether it's a book or a business or literally something, a mentorship, a nonprofit that you have a desire to release, but for some reason you've been having a challenge with getting it done. I also help people build the confidence that they need in order for them to really show up in the world on fire, because that's what it's about. We don't need the incomplete version. We don't need the fearful version, but we need the bold, the confidence, the courageous version of you, because that is the individual that we know has the impact, potential to really show up and change the world. And I just believe that we are all called to be world changers. And so if we go into our zone of genius, we can make that happen.
Oh, I like that. The zone of genius. Let's just start there and expand. So, I want to talk about and just kind of one thing that I noticed during the pandemic was that people were just getting on Facebook and different platforms like take your STEMI check and get an LLC, right? And people who aren't necessarily familiar with business, who are more so hustlers, were like, yeah, I should do that. And so there's a difference between just hustling and actually doing business. And people did that, but then that LLC is sitting idle.
Mhm.
They have no business plan, they have no business finances, they aren't even their best selves to move that business forward. How do you, Siobhan, as a coach, take that client and help them understand the first foundation and laying that groundwork to move to the level and bring in the streams of revenue that they want to bring in?
Yeah, I love this question so much, because of the simple fact that it's great that there's a desire there to be an entrepreneur. It's great that there is a desire to do beyond what maybe you've seen before in your area of influence previously. So sometimes we come from families or we come from cultures that maybe people around us were afraid to take giant leaps and giant steps. And so I'm definitely an encourager of people being willing to go after that dream or that vision, but you have to execute, right? And so one thing that I found out about myself is I am one who is very much, what is it that I need to do in order to see success? Because we don't want to be moving, but there's no productivity, there's no impact, and there's no gains. We want to make sure that we're always making progress. So when we come to a coaching session, when you have a coaching session with me, it's like, what is your ultimate objective? What is your ultimate goal? Let's zoom in and let's zoom out and see what it's going to take to get you to where it is that you want to get to. Because if we don't have vision, if we don't have a concept of understanding where we're trying to get to and the steps that it's going to take to get there, then we are going to quit, because there's no clear focus. There's no clear, really, bridge from where you are now to where you're trying to be.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes Google can mess you up because you may Google how to start a business, and because instead of doing the work first, right, you just
Mhm.
listen to somebody say, go ahead and get you an LLC, use your STEMI money, right? And you go ahead and you get an LLC, and you come up with this name for the business. And because you've been, hustling, selling stuff maybe in a salon, selling stuff out of your trunk, or you've always had a business in your home, or you used to sell, different skincare products or cosmetics, you now decide, okay, I'm going to be this business person, and you miss all the steps in between. And then after you get the LLC, you go back and you pay attention to the steps, and then you realize, well, man, I think I made a mistake. This is overwhelming. And then you quit.
Mm, yeah. And that's the difference between spontaneity and real strategy. And one thing
Mm,
that I have definitely done is I've connected with people. That's how I'm able to show up as the person that I am today, and do the things that I'm doing now. It's simply because I was willing even to invest in others who had the strategy that I did not know yet. I always say you just don't know what you don't know. But the key is you have to put in the work, the time, you have to be willing to invest for you to know what you don't know. We don't settle for I don't know, but we say, okay, what am I going to do to ensure that I get the knowledge that I need? The common phrase is, and it's in the Bible, that the people perish for a lack of knowledge. And so we don't want to be people who are starting things, but then it fails because we don't have the knowledge. So you have to be willing to put in the work, and you have to be willing to invest in yourself as well. Because everything that I've executed and done, a lot of it has come from strategy that has been proven to work, to be effective. And so that's important too, that we don't want to just be spontaneous, and we don't want to just be a hustler. I heard someone say, one of my business coaches, Dr. Shamika Dean, I absolutely love her. She says, you have to hang up the hustle, right? You have to hang up the
yes.
hustle and make that decision to really strategize and do what is a proven strategy for you to see the results that you desire.
So I heard you say a couple things. I heard you say execution. I heard you say
Mhm.
strategy. And then I also heard you say failure. And we all know, and if you really do your research and dive deep, many CEOs who are billionaires now, they all failed. Many people who have successful companies, they all fail. So failure is going to happen. It's almost inevitable that it's going to happen in some area of your business. And then I heard you say strategy and execution. And a lot of people lack strategy. I always get questions all the time of what do you think I should do for my business, or this or that. And a lot of the questions are all about strategy.
Mhm.
And I believe that even when you started with one strategy, and when you look back over that year or 2 years, you realize that strategy doesn't work. That means that there's a problem with your strategy or the way you began. So that means to go back and reevaluate that strategy. I think strategy is so important, and it prevents us from making so many mistakes. And strategy saves us money.
Mhm.
And I also heard you say execution. And a lot of times people are afraid to just start. They're
Yeah.
afraid to start. And then, even with being afraid to start, it's like, oh my God, I have this amazing idea. I don't want to tell anybody about it because somebody's going to steal my idea. But the longer you hold on to it, let me tell you, somebody else is going to think of it, right? And so you're afraid to start. And then if you do start, you don't have a strategy. And so then you do not become an executionist.
Yeah, I love that. And even going back to that failure piece, because a lot of people won't start because there's this fear of failure, right? And so I like
Absolutely.
to use that word loosely, because one thing that I've seen is sometimes when we look at it just as failure, it can cause us to quit. But we have to really challenge what it means to quote unquote fail, right? It's about being able to reevaluate. This didn't work as I saw it working out. So how do I reevaluate, just how you said, and then how do I make it become effective? What steps do I need to take for it to literally shift in my favor? And so that's also important as well, because some people, like you said, won't even start because they're thinking it won't work. But the reality is, as you take steps, I believe that as you take one step, then more ideas begin to open up to you. I always tell, like, I started with just a blog. Like, that was my first step of just stepping out and doing something that was different and odd. I just started a blog. But because I was willing to start a blog, it literally positioned me to now be willing, bold enough, courageous enough to start other things. So you can't be afraid to start one endeavor and then it literally lead into something so much bigger and so much greater. When I started a blog, I had no idea that eventually I would start a business. I didn't. I just wanted to be able to empower people, to encourage people, to help people have hope for their futures in their lives, despite challenges and despite obstacles. But it literally led me into an area that really I could have felt inadequate, incapable. But the reality was, I realized that there were needs. I realized that I could show up and be impactful. And then it was like, okay, God, for me, it's my faith. God, where do I go from here? How do I build from here? I won't let fear tell me what I cannot do.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Fear stops everybody. It stops the greatest singers from getting on stage. And I like that you were vulnerable or transparent with us to share that you just started with a blog. Mm-hmm. And even when I started this podcast, I just started getting online, sharing information about domestic violence. I did not know that it was going to turn into a podcast, and that that the information that I was given was going to be retained in such a way that people will begin to look for me when I decided to take a break. Well, where are you? What are you doing? Are you doing a podcast this week? I was waiting for you. I was looking for your podcast. And so, getting online and just sharing information about domestic violence, it just continued to grow. But because I started, and I like the fact that you said when you start, and I wanted to add that, and you said when you start, you get more and more ideas. And I want to add to that when you start and you are in your lane,
yes,
and you are in the atmosphere or the realm of what you're supposed to be doing, when you're in your niche or your niche, or you know that you are on the correct path and walking in the right direction, the more you move forward, the more you're going to expand on it. We are our biggest critiques. So we're going to see things that we didn't do correctly on the last podcast or the last blog that you wrote, or, you wrote your first book, but your second book, you write it in a whole different way because it's just easier. You've already been through the ups and downs, the rigmaroles. And so it gets better and better and better and better. I mean, Amazon started in a garage, right?
Right.
and I remember meeting someone not too long ago, and we were having a conversation, and they were talking about how when they were in college years ago, that their college roommate, the parent, was like, "Hey, I'm going to get some shares to this company, Amazon. They sell books or something, right? They had an online book business." And I remember them just sharing this conversation with me. And had they known what they knew today, they would have jumped in when the shares were like less than $10, right?
Right.
They would have jumped in and would be can cash in on that big ticket today, and we have to be, I think a lot of times, and this is what I want to hone in on, people miss that building a business takes time.
Yes.
It takes time. Amazon
Mhm.
took time. It took decades for them to be where they are. And they started during a recession. I mean, not they started during a recession, but they took off during a recession
Yep.
when things were bad over a decade ago and people were losing their jobs and it was just bad all across the nation. They took off. Their business took off. And then, I mean, it just caught on fire with the pandemic. Just caught on fire. Everybody at home ordering Amazon.
Yes.
People working at the hospitals and they were working at Amazon. Everything else was closed except Amazon and hospitals.
That's right. It's
So
true.
yeah, yeah. So help us talk about time. Why are people and maybe from your perspective of you as a coach and helping entrepreneurs, and we're always in a rush, in a hurry. We're ready to make $1 million right now. In like 20 minutes, I need 1 million.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so important. That's why I love what you said. Like you're really working to do something that is really your niche. Because one thing that's really important is you want to make sure you're putting your time into something that you love, that you're passionate about, because it is going to take time to develop. And so you want to make sure that every moment that you are working on it, that it's meaningful, because there are going to be days where you want to quit. Just because you did not quit doesn't mean that there were not days where you felt like this is going nowhere. This is not working out how I planned it to work out. It's not saying that those feelings and emotions don't come up as an entrepreneur, but it's about the fact that you know that this is what you should be doing. This is your zone of genius. And we talked about that a little bit before, where it's the zone of genius is really the fourth level. So there's a zone of incompetence, a zone of competence, a zone of excellence, and a zone of genius. The zone of genius is you really feeling fulfilled in it. You're excellent at it. It's what you can do naturally. You know that this is what you're supposed to be doing. Sometimes we operate in the zone of excellence where we're actually good at our job, but the reality is it's literally not doing anything for us. So we're good at it, we show up for it, we do it excellently, but it's not doing anything for us. So we're really trying to get past the zone of excellence. We should operate in excellence, but we want to flow in the zone of genius, the zone of genius. And so
I like that.
anything, yeah,
Wait a minute, hold on, baby
okay,
steppers. You said we want to, of course, be excellent, and I can just definitely connect with that or relate to that. In my current position at my job, I was excellent at it, that to the point that I knew that I would have to take another position in order to go up higher because I can do my job and then I can teach my job to someone else. And then I also created instructions and PDFs on how to do my job so that when the person comes behind me, they can just easily read these instructions and carry out the functions of my job. And so I can do that in excellence. But then you said we have to flow past that. And a lot of people, first of all, they don't even get there. They cool with a C or a B. So they like excellent. No, they don't pay me enough to be excellent. And so they won't even strive for excellent. But see, when we're excellent, we're doing it for ourselves. Like I want to be we have to be intentional about what we want people to believe about us. And I tell my children this all the time. I said, whenever I go to a job, whether I love it or I hate it, whatever they ask me to do, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm going to hopefully leave that place better than it was when I started, right? And
right,
so I'm going to try my best to be excellent because that's my intention. That's what I want people to say about me, that she gave her all, she did her best. I
yeah,
know that she didn't love her job because it's not a job, that kind of job that you love, right? But when she came in, she did her best. She gave us her all. She was on time. She was honest. She was integrable. And that's what I want people to believe about me. So every time I went into work, I operated in excellency. And so I like the fact that you said we have to flow past that. And so that was something that I realized, hey, in order for me to flow past this space, I'm going to have to move up. And so I asked for what's the next position up. I need that. Put my name on the list because I need to grow
Yeah.
and go past this particular current or this particular level. And so I want you to baby step us right into the genius zone, because I believe a lot of entrepreneurs, first of all, they don't start off with that in mind. And then if they did start off with that in mind, because of all the things that happen when you are owning a business and some failures and some losses, it can deter you, and then you forget all about attaining or reaching that genius zone.
Yeah. So really, I love what you said about excellence. You just hit it on the head. So you know, you're flowing, you flow in that, you float in that. That genius zone is really going to be about you stretching yourself beyond the excellence, and saying, there's something more that I need to give. There's something more that I need to do, and it's going to be fulfilling. So it's not just that you wanted the position, because you could have been great at just being excellent where you were. But what you desired was to now have the ability to pour into other people, to be able to give people what you know, what you've gained over time, right? So your zone of genius is that definitely flowing as that teacher, as that guide, as that helper, as that example for someone else. And so even with the creation of your podcast, that's exactly how you flow. And so your zone of genius, you're going to see that it can literally be in another sphere, but you're still operating in the way in which you know you're called to flow.
That's good right there. That's good right there. That is great. And so I think what I would like to add to that is, when you start something, as far as in your business, whether it's a new program or just starting your business, to stick with it, right? And be consistent in it for a length of time, and then evaluating, what you were doing, what was going on, what worked, what didn't work. And if it sticks, keep going with it and enhance it, scale it, grow it, go to the next level in it, get a coach, go take some classes, do what you need to do to expand on that idea, that program, that business, so that you can continue to increase your flow of revenue, because revenue is occurring and we want to keep it coming in. And we also know we have to pay over here, so it's going to go out.
Yes.
But you want more coming in, so that when you are releasing, we are lenders and now borrowers, right? So that even when we're releasing, we want to release more than just pennies. Right. And because people are going to come to your organization or your business, and they may ask you for a leg up and say, hey, would you mind blessing this Boys and Girls Club? Would you mind blessing this? I have some women who are in need of some items, and they are right now they're displaced, they're relocating. And so your heart would want to do it, but when you look at your financial statements, it says you don't have it.
Right.
So being able to tap into that and being consistent with your business. I think a lot of times, especially people who are creative people, and they don't always think A, B, C, D, but they think Z, F, Y, H, 7, 5, F, 2, 10, put it all together and I'm going to win, right? They have a million ideas, but they're not executing fully. Can you talk about what it looks like when you have an idea, or you're in your business and you're expanding and you're executing to the finish line? Because I think people get confused and like, well, I did it, I accomplished it, I made 10,000 in a month, I'm good. Like, no, there's more.
Yeah. That's going to come down to really your understanding of where you are and where you're going. And it goes back to us saying that we want to continue to make gains. We want to continue to make progress. And so if you are, I always say this, it's okay to be content, but it's not okay to be complacent. And sometimes we can become complacent in growth and we don't strive for how we can enhance it, how we can expand, how can we take it to the next level. And so one thing I love about being a Fire Leadership Coach is I understand that no matter where you are, there's room for growth. There's room for more. And so you have to be willing to be committed to your growth, committed to what it's going to take you to go to the next level. And so if you're choosing to be committed, you'll have the consistency to maintain and continue to build up in momentum. One thing that I've seen with different individuals is there is zeal in one level, but then there is kind of like a dialing back. And you have to fight and you have to be serious and really focused in order for you to maintain your momentum to grow, maintain your momentum to what you're doing and what you're creating.
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes back to the beginning of your program, and that's dealing with self.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're a morning person or evening person, but you also know that it's going to take some discipline to work your plan in order to generate the coin, the bag, the revenue that you need to not only survive. Like, we have to get past to the point where we're making ends meet and we're living, you know, oh, I need to sell $500 worth of merchandise today in order to get the rest of the money to pay the rent so that I can keep this brick and mortar.
Right. That's true. That's so true. And that's one thing I love to say is that I want to help Kingdom people not just survive, but thrive in life, leadership, and business. Because sometimes we can be in this survival mode. And that is what really brings up the hustle mentality. I like the concept of grind, meaning I'm willing to put in the necessary work. Just like you said, discipline. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, whatever is necessary for me to see success, for me to see that literally I've marked out what growth should look like this month, and I was able to hit that target. If I did not hit that target, that does not mean I'm not going to strive for greater next. I'm a little bit closer to the last target, but I'm still going to work to get to that next target. And so that's important.
Yes. It's absolutely important. And how do you coach people on being accountable? What do you suggest accountability partners? And then if you do, what should accountability partners be doing? Because I am an accountability partner. I have one, but I also don't know if I'm doing the service or if the service that I am providing is working. I know at some points through the year for 2020, we talked at the end of 2020, and my accountability partner told me, yes, you did great. You really helped me. But I also felt like on my end, did I really?
Mm-hmm. That's good. I love that because people are often looking for accountability partners. And the reality is, if I always say, what are your expectations of me? But not only that, what are my expectations of what great accountability looks like? For me, great accountability is going to be check-ins. Like, there should be a scheduled time. You all get to decide that. Is that going to be once a month? Is that going to be twice a month? Is it going to be once a quarter? You get to decide how intense or how really tied that accountability is in order for you to see success, because you also need to be aware of the goals, where they're trying to get, what they're trying to reach. They have to be willing to be open and transparent with you so that you can actually hold them to what they're trying to get and what they're trying to accomplish, whether that's mindset, whether that's spiritually, whether that's finances in the business, whatever it may be. You have to be able to hold them to something. And so if you're not talking regularly and there are not updates, then there's no true accountability, and it's just a title. And we want to move beyond title, and we want the accountability to be effective. So I would say, even with you, let me think, what do I think good accountability is? And then also, what are their expectations of me? And what are we going to do to make sure you're having accountability and you're seeing progress? And not only you see it, but I see it, because I'm your accountability partner and I'm supposed to be helping you get there.
And that's good right there. And I do like that you said, what is my expectations of the accountability partner? And I know that we are all different. And even for me, like, I was keeping my person accountable. And although I had some things that I had on my list, I was more of that person keeping that person accountable. And then I also thought of myself, like, I don't want you calling me every day. I don't want you texting me. Don't be emailing me. Stop asking me. No, I didn't do it. And so we have to, and I think that is so real, but I also think that we as individuals, we have to be conscious. If you are in a group and there are like different groups that you're a part of, and people are asking for accountability partners, and you know that you don't want nobody calling you, texting you, then don't raise your hand.
Right.
Don't say
And
that you want to be
really have
accountable.
clear guidelines. What if you don't want it to be that intense? Then you say what you feel like is doable for you, especially people who are leaders, who have a lot of things that they're building and working on. Extra emails, extra phone calls will get annoying. That's the
Yes.
reality. But what level of accountability do you want? And that's what's most important. If not every day, I can't imagine having an accountability partner that's checking on me every single day. But I like those weekly check-ins or those monthly check-ins, something that someone is literally holding me to the standard that I've asked for. Because if you're
Yes.
saying you want an accountability partner, there's a standard that you're asking for. And so that communication of what that looks like for the individual is really the key.
Absolutely. And I just kind of want to throw that out there for the people who, yeah, you don't have no problem keeping somebody else accountable. But when you turn it around on you, you have to be able to be open. You have to be vulnerable, and you have to be
Yes.
transparent. Okay, you said that you were gonna write 2 books in 2 months, and I checked on you in 60 days, and you didn't do it, and you mad at me because I sent you an email?
Yeah, you get me, man.
Stop. Like, stop. First of all, maybe, in hindsight, I should have said, do you realistically think that you're going to write 2 books in 60 days? And then I should have said, well, how long are your books? 8 pages? Because,
Right.
it may be an unattainable goal. And
That's
so,
good.
I'm just thinking about accountability, and I don't even know how we really got here, but I don't know if there are different levels and tiers that have really been outlined and written out, because you need to know what level of accountability you want. But then that also is where, Siobhan, you come in, and people are paying for your program for you
Yeah.
to coach them, because that's your job. Your job is to keep me accountable, because not just because I'm paying you, but because I have a goal in mind and I have a date in mind that I want to reach that goal. And so your program, your strategy, that goes back to that word strategy, is going to help me obtain that. So tell us a little bit about your coaching program, how you became a coach, and why, that's your genius flow.
Yes. So it really goes back to, and it started with encouragement, right? I told you all about my blog, but then it blossomed from there. And so I said, I believe that I am going to be a coach to help people not be afraid anymore, to help people get over rejection, get over the things of their past that's telling them what they cannot do, or blocking them for what they have the potential to do. And so, as the fire leadership coach, I love helping people unpack things. And I always look at, okay, what's going on inside as well as outside, because inner healing is crucial as someone working to build something. That's why I've hosted a workshop called Fanning the Flame Experience, where it was about business health, mental health, and spiritual health. Oftentimes we can find ourselves trying to focus on one area, and then another area lags behind. But what we don't realize is when another area is lagging behind, it eventually is going to stop progress in the other area. But I want to help people look at what it is that they have a desire to accomplish, what it is that they have a desire to ascertain, and we are going to see what steps you need to take to get there. And I love what you said about goals, because maybe the goals aren't realistic. I am all about creating SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely, and tangible. Are your goals SMART goals? And that's not something I created. That's something that's out there in the marketplace, but sometimes we don't utilize the resources, the information, and the knowledge that's there. And so it's so important for you to do that. And so that's what I love to do. You are supposed to give birth to the business, but what steps are you going to take to make sure that you're able to see that progress, that you're able to see growth, that you're able to see success? You're supposed to write that book, but what steps are you going to take? What does your day look like? What is your writing plan? Like, how are you really and truly going to get this book written? Do you have an editor in mind? Do you have a book cover? Like, all of those things. Are you going to self-publish, or are you going to be working on a proposal to send to a publication company? What is going to be your path? So in a coaching session, that's what we do. We iron all of that out. And so I have a signature program called She's on Fire Academy. And so it's going to turn into, in 2022, a 3-month program. So it'll be from January to March. Every quarter, there'll be options for another set of women to be able to sign up for the academy, where there is focus sessions, special guest speakers, and things like that to help you grow, develop, and get the knowledge and the skills that you need. But that's what it is. It's about providing an atmosphere, a space, providing language, because sometimes we don't have the language, we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the understanding, but that's what the focus is going to be. And so through my podcast and talk show, I've had the honor of meeting so many incredible and amazing women beyond my coaches that I can pull on to come and host a session, host something that's going to empower you for building and growing and developing. And that's one thing about being a leader, is you understand that being a leader doesn't mean you do everything by yourself. Right. Being a leader makes you understand the value of everyone in their genius zone, everyone flowing and contributing in their own way. And so I've learned that in me building my business. And so that's something that I'll share with everyone. So whether you come into a coaching program, which again, it won't be open again until 2022, or you just meet with me one-on-one, that's the expectation, that you literally get that action plan, create those SMART goals, and there's accountability for you to grow, develop, and birth out what you have been called and dreamed to have birthed out.
Absolutely. I love everything that you just said. And for me, writing my first book and just being obedient to what I was supposed to do, I didn't have an accountability partner, was not partnering with anybody, none of that stuff. So I would once I got to the point, and I remember writing the first 15 pages out, and I was like, oh my God, I did that so fast. And so my husband asked me to write a book, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. And I already wrote 15 pages. I'm just gonna go ahead and make a whole book. And the more I began to write, the more ideas and the more words began to come to me, to the point that I may go to sleep at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, but that was not necessarily the balance, but that also was for me my genius zone because my house was quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then the summer came and life kind of got a little busy with the kids and family, and it's summertime, so you want to get out and have fun and go to the beach. And then that was when I began to put some restrictions on myself, and I put a timer in my phone, and it said every day at 7 o'clock. Although I knew I would never write every day at 7 o'clock, that timer went off in my phone to get my mind, and that just worked for me, to get my mind ready and prepared. Okay, these kids, we need to get them settled in whatever they need to get settled in, so that your house can get quiet, so that you can begin to write. And that alarm just kept going off. And then it was also, I was a hair by trade, I'm a hairstylist. So I was in a salon at the time, and I was always asking my clients, do you know an editor? 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 And so just getting in preparation for that. And of course, the Lord sent an editor to my chair. So that worked. It worked out, but it didn't. But at least it did lead me to what a company looks like. What are their guidelines? What are they looking for? What kind of genres and what kind of stories they're looking for? And then so I'm just saying, like, my strategy did look a little bit different. However, had I known Siobhan, I could have utilized, Siobhan could have saved me time. Siobhan could have saved me money. Siobhan could have saved me from worrying, because meeting with her, we would have created an outline from the beginning versus, and my journey is my journey. I love my
Right.
journey because it did strengthen me and grow me so much. Oh my God, it's so much so that people come to me, well, what did you do? And I'm telling them everything. I can give them an outline because I went through everything. So I can give
Right.
them a real outline of what they need to do and say, this is how you need to do it. This is where you begin to write your book. And I
Yeah.
don't even give them the full outline because I don't want them to get overwhelmed. This is what you need to do. And then you need to contact this person because they'll help you, because I'm not doing that. I'm
Right.
not gonna help. I'm not gonna help. I'm not doing that. But having that strategy and knowing your end before you start, I think it saves on time, it saves on energy, it saves on money. And then it also eases your mind because you're not wondering where I should go. And then you're not spending so much time doing a lot of research. I needed to do that research because I just did. I read 5 books while writing a book because I needed to know which direction I was going to go in. Um what should be on the cover? What kind of titles my title was about a whole sentence long. After reading the book, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna change that because but again, it's all about, and I'm bringing it back to a point you mentioned earlier, but and I'm adding to it, and because we are the face of our business. And
Yes.
you were saying that you have to be consistent and you have to, put that energy into your business. We're also the face of our business and our brand. And if you're not doing it, and you don't know it, if you don't know it, you couldn't possibly pay a virtual assistant to know it for you. They just
Right.
coming in looking at you like, duh, what you want me to do? So, you have to get in there and know. And if you don't know, then make the investment into your business.
Mhm.
I paid thousands of dollars to get my first book off the ground, and I mean thousands of dollars. I was like, honey, 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 but I need, and I was reading this book and it said that I should. Um, but I made that investment. And so I know that it costs, right? And I know that if it's something that you really want and you really want to get to that stream of revenue and meet those goals, that is going to cost you something.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you cannot do it on your own.
Hmm. It's true.
I did a lot of my book on my own, but I leaned on my husband like crazy. He know
Yeah.
how to write a book, how to get it published. He know how to throw a launch party. But all of that comes into when you decide to launch out onto something. And when you launch, you're launching deep. You're not
Mm-hmm.
just going in the shallow waters, you're going deep. And if you want to stay in the shallow waters, then you're just going to be hustling on the shores.
My, that's the truth. That's the truth. And one thing that I will say, even about your experience, is how studious you were on the journey. And a lot of people won't naturally do that. The
They
fact that you were
won't.
reading,
I
the
thought
fact
they
that you were,
would, but I realized they won't do that. I'd be like,
they
just read a
won't,
book. They'd be like, what? I'm writing
right?
a book. Why would I read a book?
Right. So that's so good, that your level of excellence caused you to be willing to put in that type of work so that it could come out excellently. And so a lot of people don't naturally have that desire in that way. They want the product, but they're not willing to get all of the necessary knowledge for that product to come out. And so that's what I really help people do as a coach, is let's walk through what's absolutely necessary for you to get to this end goal in mind. And that's what you're doing when you counsel someone or consult for someone. That's what you're doing. You're giving them what you learned over time. And that is a lot of times how a lot of people begin as coaches, as consultants, because they did it first. And because they did
Right.
a lot, I'm coming to you now.
Right. I'd be like, let me redirect you. Absolutely.
Right.
So tell us, I enjoyed our show. This was really, really good. Tell us how we can find you, how we can connect with you. Tell us about the Power and Grace leaders, all that good
Yes.
stuff.
So, you all, I'm so excited because Power and Grace Leaders officially is a nonprofit organization now. And I'm really excited about that because my desire is to be able to really give back to small businesses and give back to the future leaders in our world, the young people getting ready to venture off into college. And so I have this amazing tribe of women where it started off as a Facebook group, but it is expanded, and we do different things, host events, host even different things that will enhance and grow the individual to be the leaders that they need to be. And so Power and Grace Leaders is near and dear to my heart. It created the Power and Grace Leaders talk show, the Power and Grace Leaders podcast, where I interview women, and eventually we may invite the men in as well. But I interview women sharing their stories, giving them the opportunity to talk about the highs and the lows. Yes, they're thriving, but what was the journey like to get there? Because in order for another individual to be empowered to believe that they can do it, sometimes they need to hear the story. Sometimes they need to understand that you are like them. You were once like them, where you struggled and you were afraid and you were scared. But now I'm in a different place. I'm in a better place. I overcame those things. I overcame my past. I overcame my insecurities. I overcame the rejection and the fear. And I started to be who I knew that I had the potential to be. I believe that we all can literally become the person that we dreamed, that we imagined. I believe the reason why we even see it for ourselves is because we're supposed to get to that place. That
Yes.
place of power, that place of authenticity, that place of transparency, that place where we're really making impact. It truly is possible. And so to find me, you just go to my website, www.siobhanannette.com. And then also there on Facebook as Siobhan Annette, Instagram as Siobhan Annette, Twitter and LinkedIn. You can find me there. And I would love to coach you. I have a mentorship program as well. I would love to possibly, if you're looking for a mentor, help you in that capacity. Also, I created Powerhouse Leaders University, which is self-paced courses. So for some of you, like, man, I would love to be in She's on Fire Academy, but it doesn't start until 2022 again. You can actually go under powerhouseleadersuniversity.net and you can register and sign up for a self-paced course. So many different things that I just opened up and created for people to be able to take a course, get what information they can get from that course that is impactful, powerful, and definitely providing language before maybe a life coaching session, a mentorship program sign up, or even a academy sign up. So that's what I created as well. I'm all about what is it going to take for you to have the knowledge, for you to gain the confidence, for you to be fearless in order for you to do what you've been called and created by God to do. And so I am allowing God to lead me and becoming a resource. I'm just one resource. And what you're going to get when you get me is the fire, the passion, and the dedication and the commitment to helping you grow.
Absolutely. Well, she has everything you need. Listen, you could just go on there and start before you even meet with a seat. Look at the look and see if you want to do it, okay?
Right.
But she has everything. So it just sounds like her program allows you to not make an excuse if you're ready.
I love that. No excuses.
It's no excuse. She has everything. Okay, I just want to see what you're talking about. Okay, I got something for you. Okay, I just want to tap my toe in the water. I have something for that. Okay, I'm ready to just jump fully in the water. I have something for that too.
Yeah.
Well, I done got in the water and I need a life preserver. I got you.
Right.
So I want to thank you so much for being on our show. We had an awesome, awesome time. And
Yes.
of course, everybody, Siobhan, Annette, you can connect with her in every single way social media allows.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you so much for being a part of our show, and I'll see you backstage.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Well, guys, that was another amazing show. It was really, really good. I loved it. So, listen, if you're a hustler, you're going to always be on the shore. If you're a hustler, you're going to always walk the shores. You're going to get your feet wet, but you'll never go in deep. For the real people who are ready to go in deep, you always have to get on that boat, go out into the middle of the sea and cast your net because that's where the fishes are. That's where the money is. That is where your revenue stream lies. You have to go deep. You have to get off the surface of your business and really go deep to the next level. Get the strategy and tap into your genius flow and be consistent to yourself because you are the brand and you are the face of your business. And that is it. I am Chantel Branch, your domestic violence specialist, educating individuals on why their decision to remain silent keeps them locked in abuse. Listen, don't forget to head on over to www.mffproject.com and connect with us. We are ready to bring our educational program to your college, university, high school, or junior high school. That's it for our show, and I'll see you guys again next time. Have a